Welcome back to the Inhuman Performance Podcast. Before we started today, I just wanted to say thank you guys so much for all the kind words on my interview with Cameron. As for today, my guest is Shayan Safar. He is a doctor of physical therapy, a stuntman, and a purple belt. Shayan, thank you so much for coming on, my man.
Thanks for having me.
There's conflicting evidence on that, but for the most part, they seem to be equally as bioavailable.
Interesting.
But it's just the skipping of first pass,
Yeah.
like through the metabolization process, in which you actually develop the better metabolites for healing, supposedly. This is what just people believe. So,
Yeah. Makes sense.
there's different ways of going at it. I'm going nuclear because
Nuclear?
Oh, I'm going nuclear, bro. It's
You wouldn't do it any other way.
no, we're in RBMK1
That's
right
one of the
now.
things I love about you is like, even when we did that shoot, you were like, no, we're going to do this. Like you got like the drone, the thing.
Oh yeah.
If you do something like you're going full nuclear.
Dude, absolutely. Welcome back to the Inhuman Performance Podcast, episode 6. Today is going to be an awesome one. I have my good man, Tyler Schlorf, over here. Tyler is a Ninja Warrior City finalist, athlete, and crypto enthusiast. Tyler, thanks for coming on, my guy. No, that's really cool. I grew up watching the show quite a bit. I always thought it was really cool. And then, I always knew that the athletes who did that stuff were like very different. Like you can kind of tell it's like trying to compare a football player to a rock climber. It's just there's no comparison.
Yeah.
And I always thought it was a really interesting thing. Like I used to want to get into parkour, so like I was always like, I'm gonna go jump. Yeah, bro, that's literally that was the era. That was the era. The hardcore parkour, bro. That was my thing. I always thought it was really cool.
It was fun and it was brutal. So at first I had no real direction in it. I was just like, I'm going to get as good as I can get, and I'm going to apply to the show, send in a video. But the community because it's a relatively big show, but the community is relatively small.
Right.
You know what I mean? So when you start meeting people that are involved in it, it's like a family.
All right, everybody. Welcome back to the Inhuman Performance Podcast, episode 3. Today is a really special one. I have Dr. Ashley Carroll. She's a PhD in educational psychology, a traveler, and a soon-to-be mindful and meditation instructor. Ashley, thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Well, it's pretty weird because we're neighbors, but it's really interesting to hear some of the stuff that you've been up to. You're a teacher, and what made you want to teach?
So I went into teaching so I could become an administrator. So in order to be an administrator, you need to be a teacher for 3 years. So I left high school in 10th grade. I dropped out in 10th grade, and it wasn't my favorite at all. It was really structured routine, and I didn't really see the purpose of much of what we were doing. So then after that, I was kind of really passionate about the field of education. I definitely, had a psychology lane there for a while where I spent a lot of time in psychology, but it kind of always came back to education in some sense. And so it was kind of always where I thought I could change the world when you're young and you're entering the teaching field. But I always thought I could do it differently, and I thought I could do it more for the child and for the student. And so that's kind of why I wanted to run my own schools. I knew I wanted to be an administrator. I knew I wanted to kind of run things and kind of oversee what was going on. And so in order to pursue that administration route, I was in their teaching credential program, and I asked them, what are your 3 lowest performing schools in LA? And I went to the 3 lowest performing schools in LA Unified School District, and I took the job at the lowest performing one. And I just wanted to see, like, what's the worst of the worst? Like, how bad can it really get? What's going on in the classrooms? What does education look like? What are the students going through, experiencing? And I worked at that school for a year. That school got shut down, and then I worked at the next lowest performing school for the 2 following years. So they were both in South Central LA. And so I got a lot of exposure to that. I just kind of wanted to see like the rawest of the raw. Mm-hmm. And so that's kind of why I went into education, and where I taught and why I taught there is just because I wanted kind of full exposure.
Well, so what do you think actually, what was your decision on what kind of made the schools low performing?
Care, definitely. Because I think it's very much like the mentality of it's not my child, and that mentality of it's not my kid, or they can figure it out, or something else, like where it's not like if we looked at everything and all the children of these are all our children, and all of our children deserve the best education no matter what neighborhood or what town or what area you live in. Like if we looked at that in the United States, like as all of our children, I don't think we would have the problems in which we do.